Welcome to another Zentangle lesson. Today, as you can see, we're going to be doing something that is quite complex, and what I'm going to teach you is not only how to draw these particular designs, but also how to break down the design if you ever see one and you want to replicate it. So let's get started with the easiest one that is here. And for this one, I'm going to pick another pen. Hopefully this is the right size. So we're going to do a 3x3 grid. And then let's take a look at this. We're working on the one that you see in the right hand corner over here. You're going to see that there is a diagonal line that goes across all of these boxes. Okay, and then another thing that we're noticing is that there is a square in the middle of each one of these boxes. So as we have learned in previous lessons, we want to make all of our vertical or our horizontal lines first, right? That's not vertical. Try to stay focused as you are doing this. And then we're going to do our horizontal lines. Okay, and then looking at this again, what we can see is that half of the square is black and the other one is white. So this is basically what is going on here. So as I was doing this, I thought that maybe I should show you what to do if you wanted to do a variation on this particular design. So and I like to do that once in a while with my designs, where I will basically take a little detail and change it up a bit. So let's say that maybe you want to add a vertical line and a horizontal line. And do something of a border. Instead of just a simple line grid. So in that case, you could do something like this, where you make your square like that, and then when you are coloring this, okay, you can also color inside these this border. And actually, let me back up. Let's do this instead. Okay, so you can do something of that sort, where you are creating some kind of a frame around your border. So that's something that you could definitely do. You could color this in a little bit more. Maybe get rid of these particular tiny lines over here, like that. And that will give you a different look to your whole entire design. So that's just a little variation. Okay, let's back up as much as we can and move on to our next design. And we'll pick the one underneath over here. Let's do this one right here. So if you look at this particular design, one thing you'll notice is that there is a particular shape that gets repeated 4 times. Okay, so if you start out with maybe a 6 by 6 square, like that. And then we divide that one up a little bit more. And then based on what I'm seeing here, we have a diagonal line that goes this way, and then one that goes this way. And of course you want to repeat it. So every time you do something in one box, you want to go ahead and repeat it in the other ones. Okay, and then what else do we see? We see that there is something like this in each corner. Okay. Okay, let's look again at this design, and what do we see? Okay, so I see that there is a diagonal line that goes this way. Okay, so I want to repeat that in every square. And I know that there's one below. And then I also notice that there's one on the side. Now you could easily do this instead of making each one of those lines. So there is an additional line, kind of like a squarish type of thing that goes into the corner, but why don't we just leave it like it is right now and maybe play around with the shading? So let's see what we can do here. That looks pretty good. Okay. So now I'm thinking, kind of want to do something with the rest of this because it looks kind of plain still. So why don't I add a diagonal line over here and here. And then let's play around with the shading again. And let's see what results we get by doing something like that. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this, of course. And there you go. Is there something? Does everything look right? Yeah. So notice how from this design that may have been, a little bit different, you can always do a variation of any design whatsoever, and you can get a completely different result. So with just a little bit of imagination, just a little bit of creativity, you can get some very interesting designs. So moving on to let's do this this one on the left hand corner, which is a very simple design. There's nothing about it that is complex. It's just a bunch of arches. So I think I'm gonna stop here because I want to do a slight variation. Actually, let me go one more row. That way we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That we'll have half and half. And then we'll do a variation of this. just so that you have more ideas. Okay, so we'll just end our design halfway through. Okay, so for this one, notice that in the original design that I have here, there's lines, there's other little teardrop shapes, there's a checkerboard pattern, there is a thicker outline. So there's tons of different ideas that you could incorporate in this. Let's do something different since I'm already showing you those, and you can always pause the frames and oops. You can always pause and take a look at those designs a little bit closer. Maybe do a little design in the corner of your worksheet to remind you of what I have there. Okay, so my app likes to convert my lines sometimes. I don't like that shape. Okay, so this over here can be accessorized a little bit more. And you can maybe do some dots inside these arches. I like how these dots are breaking up that white and kind of like making it more interesting. Okay, so this over here can be done just, you can just leave it the way it is, or you can add something else in here, maybe a circle like this, or maybe just a simple line like that. As a matter of fact, let's do a line. Oops. Let's see what we can do with this. So notice that what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create something that I haven't done before. I'm just trying out ideas. I'm just trying out different lines. There isn't an equation for doing this. You can just, you know, blindly choose a motif and then repeat it. And then here I can do this because I like to make my designs look like they are continuing off the edge. So in this case, I could go and shade this with different values, and I'm going to choose a lighter value because I don't want to make it too dark. But notice what a huge difference that makes. Okay, so that's a pretty nice design. And notice how many different designs you can do with just the arches and a line. Look how different, this whole thing looks versus the one that we just made. So another variation for this particular arch design would be to make these arches more elongated. So you could make them like this. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something. So this line right here, it's going to make a huge difference in getting this flat design to look more three-dimensional. Okay. Then another thing that you can do is to do that. Okay, now just by shading in that area right there, you can push this into the background a little bit and make it look more three-dimensional. And there you go. Now, if you wanted to, you could do the three-dimensional shading where you are going from light to dark. And in that case, you will do something like this where you go, let me get it a little bit less intense. So you will start out dark over here, and then you will just lighten up your value as you are moving towards the bottom. Kind of like that. You could do that instead of shading the background altogether. And now, I know you guys have been eyeing the one that is coming up. So this one always seems to, have a lot of popularity, and it may look extremely difficult to make, but if you focus on just the repeating motif, which is this square, which is basically within a 3x3 square, you'll notice that there is something very particular happening there. So let's make our, you know what, because 3x3 will just take too much time, let's do a 4x4 instead of a 3x3. We'll just vary the design slightly from what we already have there. So let's do a 4x4 design. So notice that there is a line that starts in this corner and ends over there. Okay, so let's repeat that. I'm gonna make my, okay, that looks good. So if you go ahead and you do that in all of your squares first, then you're gonna make your life a whole lot easier, because you won't have to remember what to do first and what to do next and so on. Okay, so this, when you do this particular design, you really do want to turn your paper constantly. So it may seem a little bit tedious at first, but it's gonna be worth your time and effort. Because in reality, what this is more like a spiral. Okay, then again, so notice that now we're sort of going into making these lines slightly different, because we're not hitting the corner of the square. Okay. So you kind of want to look and see where you're supposed to go. So look exactly where you are within that square and try to repeat the same thing in all of the ones that you are making. And this over here, no, notice that I first went like over here. Well, that's a little bit too wide, so I I should adjust it so that I am actually going where I'm supposed to be going. So you don't want to just haphazardly make these lines. Okay, so now again I'm so I'm trying to look for a point of reference to make things a little bit easier for myself. So I'm looking for that corner of that box too. And you can do that with, you know, any point. I just randomly picked that one. Just looked like it made sense. In this case, I want to be slightly away from the corner. So try not to put your work away until you're actually done, with the design, because trust me, if you walk away from the design in the middle of this, you are gonna be so confused. You will not know where to begin. Unless you, I don't know, mark it somehow and you say, okay, for the next one, I'm gonna go from here to here. But try to do this in one sitting. And of course, you are constantly turning it. Okay. So this is coming together, as you can see. We're almost there. So don't give up yet. Almost there. Okay, promise you this is the last one. Okay, so let's see what we have. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now, the cool thing about this particular design is that if you wanted to do some variations, you could do something where you are, let's say you have this square right here. Okay, I'm just gonna do this much because I want to show you what I'm talking about. Oh, I made this one a little bit too big. That's okay. Okay, so remember how when we started we said, okay, we're gonna do this like that, and then I said, okay, well, the next one you do it the same way. Well, how about if you do every other one this way, okay, and then the other one you do this way, okay? So below you will switch it up. So let's say just like in a checkerboard, you have this like that and this like this, okay? And then this one right here in the middle, you will do exactly the same thing, okay? And then the ones on the side, you'll do exactly how it is the one in the middle above. So you do that. So you could actually, because you don't want to get confused about what you're doing, you can just focus on making you can focus on just making all the ones that are like this. Okay, why is it that this is, oh, there you go. You can focus on all the ones that are like this and finish off making, you know, your whole entire thing. Okay, just go around and around and around, and then you move to the other ones that start this way, and you move around and around and around, and this in this case you will go in the opposite direction like that. So you could try to do something like that, and you will see how this design is going to change drastically. It's just going to be a completely different design. And as a matter of fact, I can show this to you tomorrow. I can show you some more examples of this particular design done in a variety of ways. You could do the same thing using triangular shapes. So you could divide up your whole entire square like this into triangles like that. Okay, and you start in one corner and you move on to in the same fashion. You go from here to here, from here to here, and so on and so forth. So you could do that. And then for the one that is over here, you just do exactly the same thing, or you can do the opposite. You can go in different directions. It doesn't matter. See what happens. See how you can twist and turn this design. And you just go like that over and over again until you have filled it up. And you'll see how the design just completely changes, and it's really, really phenomenal. It's really interesting. Okay, so I think you have enough work to do for this particular worksheet. I know this was a much longer video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and you learned something. Thanks for watching.